Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast, Episode 27. Are you ready for some cyborg therapy?
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is great disturbance in the force.
The Vox Box Star Wars Podcast, your source for Star Wars comics, news, and more. And now your host, Michael Corley.
Welcome back to Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Corley. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are covering Return of the Hunter. It opens with Valance, the gritty-looking bounty hunter who is also secretly a cyborg, and he is shooting someone. This someone's name is Marco Tyne, who's wanted in 9 systems for unlicensed slaving as a bounty hunter. He is taking him in. Dead. Not alive. He points to 2 random people in the bar and says to help him carry the body. The patrons say, "That's droid work." And Valance, angered at the very mention of a droid, says, "You take the heavy end." Valance does not like droids. We cut to him arriving in an odd-looking building. A bald, bearded man has something for him. He has leftover droids. The 3 droids are damaged, but are still saying, "Pardon my condition, sir. How may I serve you?" And Valance shows how he can serve best by being destroyed. He vaporizes the 3 droids with his blaster. He has paid this man to collect droids simply so he can have the pleasure of destroying them. We hear revealed that Valance is not only after Luke, whose name he does not know. He simply knows that he's a rebel lad with a 3PO and an R2 unit. But what disgusts Valance is that he treats the 2 units as friends. We see him reminiscing about the illegal transmission that he got from the Death Star before it was destroyed that gave him information about the rebels, including Luke Skywalker. As we learned earlier, he was originally a stormtrooper himself. He had a great hatred for the rebellion, obviously, but he also hates the Empire because when he was damaged, when he was injured serving the Empire, he was put back together as a cyborg by droids, and because of that, he hates them forever. He is also deeply ashamed that he shares the mechanical body of a droid. We cut to Luke Skywalker and C-3PO. They are coming out of hyperspace, only to find that the planetoid they are coming to is concealing a battlecruiser, a giant Imperial battlecruiser, and they have to make a speedy retreat. C-3PO is asking him how they could possibly escape a giant Star Destroyer, and Luke Skywalker is telling him that, well, this ship that they're in is nowhere near the Millennium Falcon, but he does know a few smuggling tricks that he learned from Han Solo, one of them being called threading the asteroids. Bottom line, the giant ship is far less maneuverable, and so he is able to thread between 2 planetoids to make his escape. He makes his way to a world called Junction, which is just that, a place where many different species come together and where many things can be traded. We find out that this is the same world where Valance was having his personal destruction of the droids, and in fact we see the bald, bearded man who spots Luke and recognizes him as possibly the young rebel that Valance is looking for. We cut back to Princess Leia. She is talking to General Dodonna, and she's complaining because she has nothing to do. And he's saying, "Princess, we have got to keep you safe." And she's saying, No, I know you want me as a symbol, but I am useless here. I'm no better than the Emperor skulking in his palace while I sit back and my friends are in danger." We cut to a spy. Do you remember the spy from A New Hope who told the Empire where the Millennium Falcon was? It's of the same kind of species. He's reporting back to Darth Vader, or he's trying to, when Valance gets the drop on him. He had noticed the spy earlier, and before the spy can raise his gun towards Valance, Valance guns him down. What we do not know is if he managed to contact Darth Vader. We cut back to Luke, and we find the reason that he's come to this trading planet is he and C-3PO are looking for parts to mend R2-D2. As you may recall, in an earlier issue, R2-D2 was damaged, and without the correct parts, he cannot be repaired. Luke overhears the bearded man revealing that he sent a message to Valance. Luke pulls out a gun, but just then Valance comes out of the shadows. Luke, not thinking of his own safety, pushes C-3PO aside. C-3PO, Luke, and the traitor are inside a chamber. C-3PO has the parts needed to fix R2-D2, and that's when the wall explodes. They had managed to close the door, but it doesn't matter. Valance has his handgun, literally the laser that comes out of his hand, because he's a cyborg. This has apparently knocked Luke unconscious. However, he is pretending. As Valance steps over him, Luke grabs his ankle, twists it, and knocks him to the ground, and pulls out his lightsaber. Valance even says, "A lightsaber in this day and age? I don't believe it!" Luke uses it to destroy Valance's pistol. Valance still has his cybernetic ray, which he uses to surprise Luke and melt the wall behind them. Luke very wisely says, well, whatever is inside you that's shooting that can't have that much power. Valance, however, thinks he can take Luke with a surprise shot. Luke is able to block it and blast it back at Valance, blasting off part of his face, revealing that he is a cyborg. This, of course, infuriates Valance. He's gone through incredible lengths to keep this a secret. This surprises Luke so much that Valance is able to punch him and knock him to the ground, knock his lightsaber away. And Valance is saying, it's worth it. It's worth revealing my secret if I can remove a droid-loving hypocrite from the galaxy like you. The narrator tells us that only Luke's quick reflexes keeps him from dodging enough of the blow to stop it from being lethal. Luke is too far from his lightsaber. This is before Empire Strikes Back, where he has learned how to move his lightsaber with the Force. And Valance is saying he's got one shot left with his blaster hand, and Luke has nothing. Then C-3PO jumps in between. He says, bravery isn't part of my programming, but I can't let you do this, sir, not to Master Luke. Luke thought that C-3PO had gone to his ship. Valance is shocked at this behavior. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means it's time for...
Dramatic reenactment.
I've more than blasters at my command, Rebel. As you and the others have now learned, just a bit too late. After weeks of waiting, I'm sorry to have it over so quickly. Still, there's the faithful robot, sneaking away down Polyp's scurry hole.
We're doomed.
Can't have that. Guess again, bounty killer. Now you stay put. You're not the only one who uses more than a blaster. A lightsaber? In this day and age? I don't believe it.
That reading of Valance the Bounty Hunter was by Thomas Powers. Is Thomas from a podcast? No. Thomas is just a cool dude who read Valance. If you want to be a dramatic guest reader, go to voxboxpodcast.com/dramatic reading. Thanks, Thomas. That was an awesome reading of Valance. But C-3PO's words of compassion have moved him. He doesn't know how to handle this. He uses his last hand blast until charging to blast a hole in the wall. He tells Luke to pick up his lightsaber and get out of his sight. C-3PO is confused about what has happened, and Luke responds, he sounds like a man who hasn't made up his mind yet, C-3PO. And before he does, we'll be back on our way to Yavin with the supplies to save R2-D2. Still, whatever his decision, I don't think we've heard the last of Mr. Valance. And that ends Star Wars number 27. Really fun episode with Valance dealing with his, shall we say, incredible racism towards droids. You have a wonderful day, and may the Force be with you.
No! You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi. like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.
Thank you for listening to the Vox Box Star Wars podcast. Give us a review on iTunes to help more Star Wars fans find the show. Have a great day, and may the Force be with you.